another beautiful day to be a Raider. Draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield. I represent the swords. It's that time of night again, Raider Nation. And you've come back. Why? Because it's time. It's time to bring them.
What's up, Raider Nation? I am the Commish, coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Where is that, might you ask? Well, it's this little place. It's down the street. It's around the corner. Down a couple blocks. Through an alley. Knock on the back door. And it's this little place we call deep behind the enemy lines. This is Raider Reaction. And thank you for joining me on a Tuesday. Because as you know, if you've joined me before, Tuesday is the Raider Nation Report. And it's a solid hour of everything silver and black. And I thought I would throw in an extra special little segment at the end. And we're going to rip through my top 10. The Commish's top 10 most hated franchises. Working from 10 to 1. So we'll do that at the end of the show. And of course, I will end with my WTF. But over the next few Raider Nation reports, so over the next few weeks, I want to spend some time looking at the specific areas of the roster and how we're going to be addressing them. What are the needs, the possible players who are going to be released, and get some feedback and intake from you. So this week we're going to focus primarily on the offensive side of the football. And next Tuesday, on the next Raider Nation Report, we will focus on the defensive side of the football. What's up, BC? So, come join me as we dig in to the offense of the 2018 Oakland Raiders and what it's going to look like. So, obviously, you got to start up front when you start building a skeleton of an offense. You've got to look up front. And we've got a center who is basically posted some of the best stats that a center can possibly post over 2 seasons. Rodney Hudson has been a steal, and he is an anchor of the offensive line and a position that we do not need to be concerned about coming into 2018. Barring injury. So, we'll start there. That's our anchor of the 2018 Oakland Raiders. Stretching out from there, guards. You have Osemele, your left guard. Gabe Jackson, your right. Osemele, again, another unbelievably spectacular season statistically for a guard. Pro Bowl season, All-Pro, again. Gabe Jackson, Gabe got that green. He got that money. Like a couple other guys on the team. Just didn't seem to have that fire. Didn't seem to play up to the paycheck, if you know what I'm saying. So, I'm hoping to see a little more of Gabe. It's not a position I believe we need to address. I just think we need more fire out of the player himself in 2018. So, I would say at the center of our offensive line, starter-wise, we're looking pretty good. Now let's start at the right tackle position. We'll address the tackles individually, shall we? Because those are our flankers. That's our outside. That's one left tackle is covering the blind side of our franchise. right tackle is not much less important. Now, at right tackle, Marshall Newhouse was supposed to be the answer. If he was the answer, I may have missed the question. He did not seem to be the answer. But then again, is it a drop-off in talent enough that you go out and look for another right tackle? Or do we address it like I believe we need to address that position, and that is through the draft with some young talent at that position that we can bring up? I'm not so sure that the 2016 season that our offensive line has was a fluke. I don't want to say that. So I believe that the changing of offensive coordinator, blocking scheme, basically messing with something that wasn't broke, led to the season that the offensive line had in 2017. Much more than the talent base of the players on the offensive line. So that leads me to believe, much along the lines of Gabe Jackson, that Marshall Newhouse needs another season. We have a new offensive line coach coming in Tom Cable. Things are going to change. Now, I know everybody's scared and freaking out about what kind of scheme Tom Cable is going to bring to the table. I'm going to tell you something. Tom Cable is going to bring the blocking scheme to the table that Tom Cable is told to bring to the table. He's not bringing the scheme to the table. He's bringing what is decided upon with his boss that he's going to be bringing. You don't think that John Gruden has a scheme in mind that he's already has for his offense? Tom Cable's not calling the shots. He's not bringing a cookie cutter image of what he was running in Seattle. Now, the fact that Tom Cable has familiarity with the gentleman who's possibly going to be our number one running back, one gentleman goes by the name of Beast Mode, that is a positive. Because obviously, as we know, Beast Mode is Enigma himself. He's an eccentric fellow. And if somebody already has his ear as a professional, that can't be a bad thing. Yeah, well, me and JD are on opposite sides of the fence on a lot of topics lines. If you were inside the RAIDER ReACTION chat room behind the scenes, yeah, we disagree quite a bit. And we're on the opposite side of the fence on that one as well. Because, everybody wants to look at, he had some allegations against him, but the bottom line is he's never been charged with anything. He was never charged with anything in the NFL. He was never suspended. He was never fined. That no charges were ever brought, even by the assistant coach who he allegedly punched in the face. No charges were brought in that either. So we can throw as many accusations around as you want, but until you have proof and charges, no charges were even ever filed. And the NFL will run at even the sniff of any kind of problem or misconduct. So the fact that they didn't even touch it should tell you something. We're working our way there, Jeffrey. We're working our way there as we're working through the offensive roster. We'll be there shortly. Hang with me. So, like I said, the right tackle position I think is a starter. I think we're okay. I don't think it's a position that we need to go hump for as an immediate. Now, left tackle, it's one of the most important positions on your offensive line. On your offense, period. It's the most important position on your offensive line. It's the guy who's covering the blind side of your $125 million man, Derek Carr. Donald Penn was a left tackle that was set out on the curb by the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Oakland Raiders gave him one last shot. He had a good year, and then he wanted to be a punk and hold out in training camp. And I believe it was, me and NorCal have talked about it. We believe that was the first step that started to cast the black cloud. And then week 3 came. And the rest is history. The 2017 season was a sinking ship that was taking on water, and we could never figure out how to plug the damn hole. That's all. That's basically all it came down to. So, Donald Penn comes out, he gets his money, and doesn't play up to the paycheck. Doesn't play to the paycheck. Now, we did look at the fact that Donald Penn was getting long in the tooth, and we brought in David Sharp. We drafted him last season. And he had to step up and he had to play in absence of Penn, who was injured at the end of the season. Now, we're getting there, Kenneth. You hold on. We're working to the quarterbacks too. We're at all the offense. Now, do you feel at left tackle, with Donald Penn coming back this season, David Sharp is the heir apparent behind him, do you feel confident in who we have on the roster at left tackle, protecting the blind side of Derek Carr going forward in the future? Do you feel confident that David Sharp is the guy? I haven't seen enough out of David Sharp to give me the warm, fuzzy feeling that I can trust him with the blind side of the $125 million man. I want to say I can trust Donald Penn. But Penn really took a step back last season. And I don't know if it was just the season in general that kind of got away from the Oakland Raiders. I'm not sure what it was. It's hard to tell. But he did not have the season he should have had for a guy that was holding out and demanding more money. So I guess in last year's draft, we addressed the fact that he was getting old. So maybe that's not a position we need to address immediately, since we have a backup heir apparent there. Now, I'm going to touch on that towards the end, because I did go through, and I've pretty much went through the 2018 picks and who I would like to see us going after, at least positionally right now. We'll get a little more deeper into actually picking players and who we think the Raiders mock draft will be when we get closer to draft time. Right now, I'm more looking at positional. Now, I would like to see the Raiders address the offensive line in the 4th round. And I would like to see that be our first offensive pick. I think we should address defense in the first 3 rounds again. And then offense with our final 4 picks. Offensive line should be the first thing in the 4th round. And I think we can get somebody talented with a 4th round pick. That can be a project to back up, to basically be a utility tackle to either back up the right tackle, Newhouse, if he doesn't step up, or be a fill-in for left tackle if Sharp ends up being a wash. So that's where I would like to see us go as far as addressing that. But I do think we need to definitely pick up a young project or a draft pick of some sort on the offensive line to have some more depth and have some youth on the offensive line. Absolutely, 100%. Now, moving out, tight ends, Jared Cook. Although I thought he was dropping some balls at the beginning, he came along more as the season went on. You got Lee Smith, and you ended with Pharaoh Brown up on the depth chart at the end of the season. Pharaoh Brown, I mean, he's depth. He seems to be solid, but he's bounced around the practice squad a little bit, and maybe that's just where he needs to stay for a little bit. I would like to see some more solid depth. You've got Clive Walford. Got banged up. I've been a fan of Clive. But Cook is obviously the solid number one. I agree with you, Jake. I think Cook played solid. I think he played great. And I don't think that's a position we need to address. Like I said, in 2017, I believe we addressed the holes on offense. We just didn't maneuver and play with the new toys properly that we got. So there's not a lot of holes that I believe needed addressed. I agree, Brandon. They're kind of the same guy. And if I had to pick one, when you're talking about two guys that are similar, I'm taking Lee Smith. I like Lee Smith. He seems that he's just like a hard-nosed, tough, Raider-type tight end. He's gritty. He'll catch the ball if he has to and get us that short yardage, that 5 to 10 yards, and he'll go out there and block. He's just a gritty tight end, and I like Lee Smith. So I think Lee Smith is a good complement and a backup to Jared Cook. Jared Cook is not the stellar blocker. He's more of your hybrid wide receiver type who's got the great hands. He can go down the field. He can spread the field on you and can get things done in the middle of the field while your wide receivers are stretching it. So I think they complement well together. Now, we do need a third. Maybe that third is Pharaoh Brown. Maybe we can get Clive Walford back in there. Definitely a third tight end is one we're going to have to lock down coming into 2018. That is for sure. Now, one of the biggest question marks coming up at our offense as we work across the line is obviously our wide receiver core. Now, let's look at our wide receiver core as a three wide receiver set, basically with the number one and number two and a slot. Now, when you're looking at your number one and your number two, coming out of the season, obviously, if everyone was healthy, you're looking at Coop and Crab. Now, the biggest rumors on the offense are the fact that Crabtree's a little steep, around that $7 million mark. He'd be a nice relief off the cap if he's released. Now, I am not a fan of seeing Michael Crabtree leave the team. I do understand the issue with the salary cap. I do understand that we have to sign Navarro Bowman. I do understand that the Khalil Mack contract is this offseason. Somehow a conversation needs to be had. Minds need to sit down. They need to mesh. They need to figure out how to make this work. Michael Crabtree needs to be a Raider in 2018. Michael Crabtree of the last couple seasons has made catches that some people in this league can't even freaking make. You just don't let talent like that leave the house. You don't. Unless you have talent like that on roster, you don't let talent like that leave the house. And we don't have talent like that on roster. We don't have talent like that on the roster right now. We just don't. Without Cooper stepping forward like we all thought, without Cooper stepping forward like we all thought he was going to this year, that may have changed the perspective on Crabtree. But Cooper did not take the step forward that we all hoped he would take this season. He had drop issues, and he regressed. Jury's still out for me on Coop. I'm giving him one more year. He is too talented of a guy, and I think the drops are a big mental part, and I think that can be fixed. So I'm not ready to give up on Coop yet as possibly being an elite wide receiver and being our go-to guy. So I want to see the two of them come back. I want to see the dynamic of the two of them come back. Now that turns me to look at our number three, our slot. I was very happy with some of the things I saw to Cordarrelle Patterson this season. But, again, I don't think he was used properly by our offensive coordinator. A guy like Cordell Patterson should have been used to stretch the field more. They call it, his nickname's Flash for a freaking reason. And you got to use that. Now, Seth Roberts, I get a pretty... Everybody's on one side of the fence or the other, like Rock. Everybody's on one side of the fence. Seth's got to go. I've always been a Seth fan, but this last season, I agree. I was expecting Seth to make a step up, to make a step forward, become that solid number 3, and I don't think he did it. I think he really failed this season at stepping forward and putting his stamp on the number 3 position, and I think that could hurt him. I think Seth could be a casualty, and I think he could get set aside for some possible young blood at wide receiver. With Cordell Patterson and possible return of Cooper and Crabtree, we will see. Now, if Crabtree's released, Roberts may end up staying on the team only because of roster depth. He may end up staying just because he has some familiarity with Carr. They may end up keeping him around. It's going to come down a lot. What happens with the wide receiver cores is what they decide to do with Michael Crabtree. His around $7 million contract is going to have to be addressed. I don't think they can keep it as is and be able to retain the talent that they need to retain on defense. That's the $1 million question, TJ, when you look at the offense. Because you look at an offense in 2016 that goes 12-4, looks like one of the elite offenses in the league. Every weakness we had, we addressed. New running back, new tight end, beefed up offensive line. Everything that we even brought in Cordell Patterson. Everything that weakness we had in 2016, we beefed up. So in 2017, our offense should have been much, much better. The only thing that changed drastically was the offensive coordinator. So that's the $1 million question. But can you pin everything that happened offensively on the play calling? Because you know there had to have been some input from the head coach in that as well. It wasn't like Todd Downing was just given the keys to the ride and he was out there driving it up and down the road all by himself. Somebody else was riding shotgun with him. So it's how much were they involved? Johnny Holton's another one, Jake. He's an interesting one too because he's fast, he's a deep threat. But his hands are questionable. Is he... We've seen Holton for a couple seasons now. And he didn't take that big step forward this season like he should have taken either. So now that you've seen these guys for a couple seasons, you've seen their top shelf, man. They've capped out. These guys are as good as they're going to get. As good as they're going to get. Seth Roberts is as good as he's going to get. Johnny Holton's probably as good as he's going to get. So shouldn't you bring in some young talent who possibly has a shelf, a ceiling a little higher than these guys? Because in the draft, I think that's where we should go. I think in the final 4 picks, we should address offense. I think we should go corner first, linebacker second, defensive tackle third, grab an offensive lineman in the 4th, and then in our 2 6th-round picks, go wide receiver, running back, and close out with a running back. Because we need to start looking at who's going to be our number 1 bell cow running back someday in the very near future. Because if Marshawn Lynch is back this year, he sure the hell ain't going to be back next year. Sure ain't going to be back next year. Now, I appreciate you all for joining me tonight on the Raider Nation Report as we rip through everything silver and black every Tuesday on Raider Reaction. This week, exclusively offense as we were ripping through the offensive roster, looking at the needs, the wants, the possible releases, and how the offense will look going into 2018. On next Tuesday's Raider Nation Report, we will go exclusively defense and do the same thing with every single defensive position. Also tonight, we're going to close the show with a segment as I rip through my top 10 most hated NFL franchises, as well as close out the show with my WTF, as I do every solo edition of Raider Reaction. So thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate any second you spend with me on Raider Reaction, new or old, my band of pirates. Thank you for joining me. So wide receivers, that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. Obviously, we will get into it more and more as we get closer because, guys, as you know, I'm here 5 nights a week, and it's going to be a long off season. So we're going to really be able, we're going to spend like half a show in the very near future digging into just wide receivers because soon we're going to have the full slate of free agents. We're going to see guys that are getting released. We're going to be able to really start digging into the nuts and bolts. So I hope you guys join me through the offseason. I enjoy the offseason. I enjoy the nuts and bolts, the working, and seeing how a team is built and how you put together a unit to go out and battle for an NFL season. I like to see how it forms all the way through the free agency period, into the draft, how it all builds up. I mean, last season it was exciting, man. The offseason was great. The news of Marshawn Lynch was broken right before the draft, and it just kept building. Unfortunately, it didn't culminate. It kind of fizzled out when the season got here. But that happens, and that's football. But I'm excited about what we're doing in 2018, and we're going to keep the hope alive, man. That's what it's like to be a fan. You always believe. I always believe on any given day when the Raiders take the field that they can win that damn game. That's what it means to be a fan. That's what it means to be a diehard. You should always believe that your team has a chance. If you don't, what the hell are you? Now, wide receivers, now we got to spin behind center. Let's start with the running backs first. Washington and Richard are complementary backs. I like both of them. I like both of them coming in this season. Now, Richard started to become a bit of a concern for me as he started to get a little bit of the dropsies, a little bit of the fumble fingers. I agree with Lyons 100%. I think one needs to go. I think one needs to go. And I believe it's Jalen Richard, and I want to keep DeAndre Washington. They're both very similar, and I think DeAndre Washington has proven to be the more reliable of the two. I think Cordarrelle Patterson could help out a little more on return duties to spell Richard in that aspect if he's not there anymore. And maybe Washington could even help out in that aspect as well. Or one of the new guys that we pick up in the draft. So I'd like to see Washington. Now, for our number one, I want to see Marshawn Lynch return. We're bringing in Tom Cable. We've got Gruden back. We've got this whole new mojo. I want to see Beast Mode back. 100%. Now, I do want to see us, with one of our 6th round picks, draft a running back. And with our 7th round pick, I also want us to see us draft a running back. Because running back is a position that I feel we need to address, and we need to be proactive about it this season. I want to see 2 in camp. I want to see 2 projects, a 6th and a 7th round pick, picked up, 2 late round running backs. Because we have to start thinking and looking at the future there. I don't think we need to go high and blow an early pick on a running back because I think Beast Mode proved at the end of the season he's got gas in the tank. I don't know. That's the thing for free agency. I've really got to stop and get a good look at who's all going to be out there at the end of the season. And I haven't really taken the time to get a really good look at the entire menu, so to speak, of all of the free agents that are going to be out there. But I'm not sure. I mean, who's the top of the list, Brandon? Who's going to be out there for the free agent running backs this coming season? Because like last season, it was a bunch of long in the tooth running backs. Is that what we're going to have again this season? Is there that stud, possible franchise running back that you can grab out there that's better than Marshawn Lynch looked at the end of the season? A fullback's going to be interesting, TJ, because with Gruden back, Gruden likes fullbacks. He had Allstott in Tampa. He had Zach Crockett. John Ritchie. Yeah, I'm curious. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Like I said, I have not dug deep into that because, like I said, I got months. I will be getting into that very in depth. Free agency period comes. It's a waiting game of days and days and days of just waiting for news to pop, crazy rumors flying around, and it's an exciting time. I like Olawale. I agree, Lines. I like Olawale. I think he's a solid fullback. I just don't think he's utilized properly. He's not on the field enough. Where there's not enough fullback sets used. Now, Bill. Easy now. No, there was a Ricky Dudley sighting at the John Gruden sighting, but I don't think we need to. No, I don't think we need his services. Now, that is our offense in a nutshell. Biggest question marks: Michael Crabtree, Seth Roberts, Johnny Holton, and how the rest of the wide receiver core shapes up. If Crabtree leaves, what happens with the rest of the core? Le'Veon Bell, yes, Bell is, but I don't see Pittsburgh letting Bell out of there. I don't see it. They have the possibility of franchise tagging him, and which Bell's on the record as saying if they franchise tag his ass, he will retire. Although that's, obviously a bunch of BS. But yeah. It'll be interesting. I think we're fine with Lynch. And you know what? Another reason I think Lynch should come back. He's very financially friendly. His contract's financially friendly. It's incentive laden. So that helps with salary cap. The way his contract was set up, it's very friendly for coming into this season. So, like I said, I'm pro Lynch on many fronts for coming back for one more year. So that in a nutshell is what we're looking at for our offense. Now, like I said, in coming Raider Nation reports and other shows, in the coming weeks, we'll be digging in more individually, more into each little aspect of the offense. But that's a quick once-over of what we're looking at coming into 2018 and the questions that we have. Now, next segment of the show, I thought I would do something. In the off-season, I like to throw in some top 10 segments and some other things to, there's only so much that obviously you can talk about in the offseason. So, we do like to sprinkle in, like the NFL Network, they have their little top 10s and blah, 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 blah. Well, we at Raider Reaction, we have our own top 10s as well. And tonight, I'm going to bring you yours truly, the Commish. The Commish's Top 10 Most Hated NFL Franchises. And I'm going to start with number 10. Now, number 10 on my list of most hated NFL franchises was a team that used to be a divisional rival. When I was growing up, I hated the Seattle Seahawks. I hated Dave Craig. I hated Steve Largent. I hated the first Kurt Warner, the black one. I hated him with a passion. We played him twice a year. And I still to this day hate him. Just the fact that they moved to the NFC didn't soften it up for me. I don't forget. I still hate Seattle. And they start off my list. They're number 10 on my most hated teams. My most hated NFL teams. I still don't like them. Richard Sherman. I can't stomach the Seahawks. Still to this day. They still got AFC West in them. And no. They're definitely on my top 10 list. Now, number 9. They popped back into the playoffs this season after a long-ass drought, which I enjoyed every freaking minute of that drought. But I was in high school through the 90s. Through the early 90s. I graduated in 93. And now, Brandon, we voted for the Seattle NFL franchise's official Raider Reaction name this last season, and it was voted by Raider Nation, and forever in the annals of Raider Reaction, the Seattle franchise will forever be referred to as the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. That is their official Raider Reaction name. They are the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. That's my number 10. Now, number 9. All through the early 90s, man, I hated this team. One of my best friends growing up was a diehard fan of this team, so I had to listen to his mouth all the time. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. They were the team in our way in the AFC through the Hostetler era, through when Schrader was there. I hate the fucking Buffalo Bills. And now, the fact that they've created this fucking Bills Mafia, which is this stupid-ass clique of slamming your fucking girlfriends through tables and shit, which is absolutely asinine. I'm glad you lost, and the first time you made the playoffs, that was all you got. It was hilarious. Your franchise sucks. Your fan base sucks. The greatest fucking Bill ever killed 2 people. Your 2,000-yard man. Fuck the Buffalo. I hate the Buffalo Bills with a passion. I'm talking myself into moving them up from 9. I don't even think that's a good enough position for them. They should be higher on the charts. I fucking hate the Bills. Always hated the Bills. I love seeing them out of there. I think it's hilarious when I watch them smash their women through fucking tables like some Neanderthal retards. It's hilarious. Fuck. Buffalo Bills, number 9 on my most hated NFL franchise list. Number 8. I live in this area now. I'm not originally from here, but I live here. Now, me and Captain Jack have talked about this on the show. You have no idea the pains of being a Raider fan living in the Tampa Bay area. Being a diehard Raider fan and living in the Tampa Bay area, the last team that beat us in a Super Bowl, when it's the only thing that they've ever won in their entire history of their fucking franchise. They've never won anything. The entire line graph of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a flat line with blip, blip, one blip in 2002. Other than that, you've sucked. You're the worst, one of the worst franchises in the history of the fucking NFL. And you're my number 8. You got our ring, you bastards. Ended up with our coach. That whole season was a fucking twisted goddamn mess. And to this day, there isn't a week go by Not a week goes by. I'm not even exaggerating, Raider Nation. There is not a week goes by that some cock-ass fucking Buccaneers fan doesn't say something to me or make some fucking comment about that goddamn Super Bowl. And I am not kidding. I hate the fucking Buccaneers. I hate them with a passion. You are second-rate fucking imitator pirates. Fucking fake-ass imitation non-sugar ass pirates. Fuck you. Number 8 on my most hated teams. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 7. I have seen the Raiders play the Vikings almost to every game they've played them, because they only play every 4 years, for quite a while. I don't remember, because they only play them every 4 years. I've been to Minnesota and watched Raider games there. I can't stand the Minnesota fans. Their stupid ass fucking horn. They sing when they score field. I've never seen a professional team that the entire stadium breaks out in song for a fucking field goal. The Minnesota Vikings have never won anything. Ever. They are... If Steve Bartman was a franchise, it'd be the Vikings. But even they've got one now. I still don't see the Vikings getting one this season, even though they're going to be close. But there's an epic Viking collapse coming. It's coming. Mark your calendars. It's coming. I don't believe it. I do not believe the Vikings will get it done. I unfortunately think it's going to be the fucking Cheatriots and fucking Tommy Rice Cakes, and them cheating fucking bastards are going to get number 6, which absolutely disgusts me. But I'll get to them in a minute, because you know they're on this list. Number 7, Minnesota Vikings. Hated them. Always have hated them. Another NFC team is my number 6. And how could you not hate the pompous ass America's team? How could you not hate the Cowboys? The Cowboys are everything you want to hate about an NFL opponent. They're pompous. They're like the rich preppy kid in your class that, you know, drives the new car. He's got the nicest clothes. They live on the nicest house out of anybody. They're like that kid of the NFL. They're like the fucking rich preppy kid that you just want to smack the fuck out of. That's what the Dallas Cowboys remind me of. They're that of the NFL. They're the rich preppy kid that you just want to smack the fuck out of. And I just can't stand. I've never liked the Dallas Cowboys. I couldn't stand Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. I didn't like that, the triplets, you know, the whole dynasty. I had to grow up with that garbage too. As bad as it was the Bills knocking us off, we had to watch the Cowboys win it all over the fucking shitty Bills every year. Oh, the Cowboys. They're definitely my number 6. Now, number 5. Our first divisional rival. The San Diego / Los Angeles Chokers. LaDainian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, Dan Fouts, Junior Seau, all you motherfuckers. I hate every one of you Chargers. Every one of you that has ever put that stupid ass bolt on, or that dumb ass powder blue uniform. I hate every one of you. Can't stand the Chargers. Number 5 on my list of most hated franchises. Now, number 4, I step out of division. But I gotta stay in the AFC. We started their dynasty with the Tuck. They are the luckiest franchise ever. They bend the rules, they break the rules, they get away with everything, and they just seem to come up smelling like roses and hoisting trophies no matter what the fuck they do. It's disgusting. Somebody's totally sold their soul to the devil. I don't know if it's Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, fucking Tommy Rice Cakes. I don't know who it is, but somebody on the New England Patriots sold their soul to the devil. They're my number 4 most hated team for obvious reasons, for a laundry list as long as my arm of reasons. I hate the obnoxious, pompous, arrogant New England Patriots. Ugh, they're number 4. Now, my top 3 most hated NFL franchises. Number 3. I loved nothing more than watching them get bounced out of the playoffs this past weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers. The Schittsburg Squealers. I was so glad to see them get bounced out of the fucking playoffs. The Steelers only trumped the Patriots because they've been a thorn in the Raiders' ass since the goddamn Immaculate Reception. Since the fucking 70s when they were the team that we couldn't get past. They have been a thorn in the Raiders' ass for decades. They're like a fucking rash. You're like herpes. We can't fucking get rid of your ass. The fucking Steelers, you're a bad fucking rash, man. You're nothing that an NFL fan would want to get behind. You're fucking face to your franchise, Mr. Ben Raplesberger. He's probably holding some chick in a bathroom stall right now. All of them. Everybody who's ever wore that stupid-ass one-sided helmet. Ah, Steelers, definitely number 3. Definitely number 3. Now, number 1, number 2. Both in the AFC West. Both of these teams I can't stand. When I see their logo, when I see their fans wearing their shit, we'll start with number 2 first. The Kansas City Chiefs. I relish in the fact that Kansas City, even though they're a thorn in our side, that they can never, ever fucking do anything. They can never get anything accomplished. They trip and fall all over themselves when it comes down to the finale. Every damn time. Just like this year. Just like this year. You guys are bumbling fucking idiots when it comes to the playoffs. But in the regular season, they made our lives hell. Joe Montana, one of my favorite players of all time, Marcus Allen, had to watch him as a Chief. I hate the Chiefs. Tony Gonzalez. Oh. Their ugly ass, red and yellow fucking uniform. They're obnoxious ass fans. Obnoxious fans who have never ever won anything and have no reason to ever talk. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs. With a passion. But not nearly as much as I hate that last team in the AFC West. The last team in the AFC West, by far my most hated team. By far. The Donkeys. My most hated coach is Mike Shanahan. My most hated all-time player is John Elway. Probably my 5 top most hated players are all fucking donkeys. I can't stand the Donkeys. The fact that they have caught us in Super Bowls absolutely disgusts me. The fact that I still have to see John Elway's fucking big gum ass staring down over the field from his fucking the owner's box is just... Go away, go away, go away. Please, I just want that couple season stretch where we can just pound the fucking donkeys into the ground. For just a few seasons. Let's just sweep their ass. Please? I'm so sick of obnoxious Bronco fans. Sick of it. Orange and blue. What kind of ugly ass fucking color combination is that? Orange and blue. Oh, Bobby. Oh, my God. Shannon Sharp. I still can't stand Shannon Sharp. I can't watch the show with that loudmouth fuck on it now. I still can't. Terrell Owens, I can't... Or not Terrell... Terrell Davis, I can't stand that guy. And they got to stick his ass up. He's got to be a commentator, too. Schlereth, I got to listen to his ass. Jesus God. How many ex-donkeys can we shove as talking heads? Like, seriously. He is a big horse-looking fucker. That's for damn sure. You ain't lying, Bill. You aren't lying. That is one of the most obnoxious men on the planet. Shannon Sharp is in the top 10 most obnoxious men on the planet. How that man got a show, I have no idea. And then you put him with one of the other top 10 most obnoxious men on the planet. My God. That is just insane. That is just insane. Now, I did have a couple honorable mentions. The Bears, the Browns, and the 49ers. I really hate those three fucking teams, too. For all three separate reasons. But those guys are just honorable mention. But that's my top 10 most hated NFL franchises. Now, it's a solo edition of Raider Reaction. And I always like to end my solo editions with a WTF. Now, it's the off season, which also means it is the beginning of the season of worthless ass stories that you will see popping up. Because a lot of these folks will have nothing to talk about now. So they're going to have to start making shit up. So, you end up with stories like ESPN. Now, of course, ESPN gives out their grades of the Raiders prior to the season. How the offseason went last season. And they gave us a really good grade. I believe it was a B or a B+. It's a really good grade for off-season moves in 2017. Now, they thought it would be funny because the Oakland Raiders had an off-season. We didn't perform. That, hey, let's go back. We need to regrade that now. Regrade? You're going to go back and regrade to make yourself look better? To milk another story out of us? You're going to go back and regrade and give us a fucking D-? You smug fucks. ESPN is a dumpster fire. They have had a mass exodus of talent. They're just left with scraps. And it was probably some shit-ass intern that wrote the story. So let's take our grade that we gave a team last season, and then we'll go back and change it. Now, the whole point of that, there were injuries. It's called a prediction. You can't go, that's like me saying, I'd pick the Saints to win, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that because now that I've seen how that game worked out, I think I'm going to pick the Vikings because I think the Vikings are going to pull it out in the end. So I'm going to go with the Vikings now to move on and things. Well, no shit. It's easy to go back a year later and say, you know what? Boy, they really fucked up in that offseason. Well, listen, you Nostra fucking dumbass. No shit. It's real easy to go back and say, man, those guys really fucked up there. Yeah, no shit. It's real easy to be the armchair genius and go back and look back after the fact and tell everybody what they fucking did wrong. No shit. Anybody can do that. Yeah, The offseason didn't work out last year. No fucking shit. Stevie Wonder can see it. Ray Charles can see it. Hell, we can all see it. No shit. ESPN, guess what? We don't care. We don't care. Because ESPN, cumulatively, we all look at your programming. We all look at your stupid ass moves. We all look at you throwing out talent. We all look at you as a network anymore. And we just pretty much say, what the fuck? You're not needed anymore. You're obsolete. You're becoming the dinosaur in the sports entertainment age. A dinosaur. I will be back tomorrow night because it's Wednesday and it's Ghost to the Post. And NorCal Raider Rick will be here with me tomorrow. Hell or high water. And I'll make sure he's got all of his equipment in order. As we go Ghost to the Post. Silver and black, coast to coast tomorrow. As get some input on all the action that's going on with NorCal Raider Rick, on his thoughts on Gruden, the coaching hires. We'll touch on a little bit of the offense, as that's the theme for the week. And then we're going to give our predictions and talk AFC and NFC championship game as we drop back deep in the pocket every Monday and Wednesday. Touch on all the hot league stories. Thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate it. Every second you spend with me, any second you spend with me, I always appreciate it. New, old, my band of pirates. Thank you. I'm out. Peace, love, Raider Nation!